Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to be making another video in the series where I hope to get to every spot on every competitive map in the rotation. And for this one, it's going to be mid on Dust2, and this is a spot where you will notice league, competitive, and pro teams play very differently than matchmaking and pug teams. So I'm going to go over that a little bit later. Now, the first thing I'm going to go over here is that peek mid doors. Now, a lot of people think that this is necessary, and it's something that you should do. However, it's really about risk management and risk reward, because as a middle player on nearly every map, you don't need to do anything. What you're trying to do is get entries when possible and get information for your team. You don't need to hold on to the spot. You'll end up falling back later more often than not. You're just, like I said, information and entry frags when possible. If you feel like you can win the engagement when you peek mid more often than not, then sure, go for it. However, most people won't win that engagement more often than not, so you want to be playing a little bit more passively, and I've got two ways that I like to peek mid that are much more passive and much more consistently successful. The first one is going to be this peek here. I'll get on the back wall and I'll strafe out at a narrow angle, clearing this side. You have a very big advantage against that terrorist, and if you feel like you want to, you can actually pre-fire it instead of just strafe peeking it. And even when I don't pre-fire it, I win that one about 9 out of 10 times. And instead of strafing across and peeking the other side where you will be at a disadvantage and it's very tough to deal with, I'll actually just strafe out, clear that, strafe back, and then jump over. And not only can you kill that player up there, but you'll catch people suicide that are trying to strafe out to the left into the cubby there. You'll catch them as they come over here. So you'll get a lot of kills by doing this peek if you feel like you can do it. Now, the other peek that I like to do is I'll have my teammate jump across, call which side their opper's playing from, their opper shoots, and I will peek out and post up on that side. Because of the scoped movement update, now if they try and repeek, they are dead. And so it's pretty simple to just post up on them and get easy kills. And in competitive, like actual leagues and in pro games, people don't repeat quite as much, but in matchmaking and in pugs, you'll get a lot of kills on people repeaking like this. Now, the other thing I'll do after picking mid is, one thing I want to note here actually quickly is don't smoke mid. Smoking mid only hurts you for the most part. Unless their opper is very consistent in being able to kill you through nade smoke, don't smoke mid. Just nade the cross and go from there, because if you throw a smoke, it's wasting your smoke and not really helping you. And I would suggest that you, the opper, throw that nade so that the B player can buy a Molotov instead of a nade. What you're going to do is you get across, and when possible, so when you're not killing someone that's going suicide or something like that, you want to support the B player. Now, this is assuming it's a 3-1-1, which you should be playing more often than not in matchmaking and in pugs. A 3-1-1 is simply better than a 2-1-2, or more consistent and less exploitable, especially by pug teams. It's just a simple 3-1-1. Now, as for angles, this angle here is a bad angle. There are 3 elevations that they can peek you from. They can peek you from close doors, Xbox, and cat, and if you're peeking an angle like this, they can peek you from 4 different spots, and they can also flash and peek out on you. It's just a terrible, terrible angle. Do not play here unless early round you can play here and you can peek towards palm tree if your B player doesn't need support, and that way you can catch people crossing, which is actually an easy kill, but you need to know the timing to fall back when they can come through lower tunnels. So there are a few spots I'll play. The first is going to be on the other side here, peeking here. You'll catch people as they run down mid towards lower tunnels. You can also play a little bit wider and catch people as they're at the cubby there, although you do put yourself in a bit more danger as you're further from safety. So I'll generally play here, get lots of kills, get lots of information, and if they do come out mid, I can fall back over here and I jump up on this box. Important to note, when I jump up here, I actually strafe out wide, and this is because teams and players tend to spam through that smoke now, knowing that people like to use it as a one-way, and they'll never spam this box here on the side. People don't expect that, so you'll still be able to use that as an easy one-way. Now, the other spot that I will sometimes play is really going to depend on the way their team is playing it. Now, you can try, if they're smoking off Xbox, a really great way to play it is actually you can try an angle like this. You can stay back here and just pick their feet, pick them as they cross over to Xbox, and you can also catch them as they cross over top mid. You can't play this without that smoke or they'll kill you from palm tree, but with that smoke, it's very consistent because people often throw that smoke from lower B and then try and cross and jump into it. You can get a lot of kills here. Now, the other thing I'll do, and this is incredibly risky, but again, think about risk-reward. This is a very consistent spot to be able to find kills. If they throw a smoke mid, and it seems like they're going to try and peek up onto Cat, you can't really peek that angle earlier that I mentioned, the angle back there, because they can use it as a bit of a one-way. They'll spam you, they'll nade you. So what I'll do is I'll actually come over here and peek above it. And you're going to notice pretty quickly, if they try and jump up Xbox to Cat, you will see their whole body. It is an incredibly easy kill, and you can even see their heads as they cross over here a decent portion of the time. So, especially if you can get support from a rifler and CT spawn that can cover you if they try and come out mid, this is a very good spot. Now, if you can't get support, again, incredibly risky. However, it is a spot I'll go to if I feel my team needs the entries. If I'm playing on a team where I think that they're competent and they don't need those entry frags, I won't go there. But if I feel like I need to carry my team, that's a risk I am willing to take. That's something you've also got to keep in mind here. Is your team capable of carrying themselves? If so, play a little bit more passive. If they're not, play a little bit more aggressive. Now, the other thing that I will mention is going to be rotations here. Now, the first thing you need to recognize is that rotating through mid doors is oftentimes going to be a death trap when you're trying to rotate to A. So, unless you know where their whole team is, don't rotate through doors unless you have a reason to. Unless you're down in numbers, you have to make a play or something like that. Generally, you're going to be stuck rotating through CT spawn, and it's not the greatest spot to rotate, but that's why you want to be a quick rotator here, especially if they come out long. I'll oftentimes just throw a quick flash through there and then peek out with it and try and clear this, or something similar, and I'll just be very aggressive here. Even if they smoke cross, sometimes a lot of teams will have a smoke like this, where you can get behind it and you can peek like this. They can't even see you. You get a free shot off and then a free fallback. So don't be afraid to be aggressive before they get onto plat from CT here. This is where you're going to find the most success, before they get onto plat, because rotating with an op through elevator when they're on plat is generally no bueno, you know. Now, for the rotate towards B, there's one thing I will suggest. First, generally window is better than doors, and second, window is generally a death trap if your B player is already dead. So what you want to be doing is keeping him as alive as long as possible. And to do that, there are two flashes I'll throw that I very, very, very rarely see people throw in real games. Is first, this flash, and second, this flash. And you're going to notice where both of these land. Sorry, that one missed. One is going to land right over here, and it's going to blind their whole team and not blind anybody back plat or back sight or anything like that. The other is going to land right here, and it's, again, going to blind their whole team and not blind your teammate no matter where he's playing, so long as he's not playing closet, which is a terrible spot to play. Tell him not to play there. But those two flashes are going to give you that few seconds. You just need 2 or 3 seconds where your teammate stays alive and you can rotate into that window and get some free kills. Sometimes they're not free kills, sometimes they're a little bit tough, but those are two very good flashes to support your teammate. And instead of throwing a flash in through doors like I see some people throw where you blind your teammate, throw one of those two and help your teammate out. Now, the final thing I'll mention here is this angle right here. I see a lot of people will jump onto here, crouch down, and try and catch people crossing plat. That's dangerous. Don't do that. Peek here. You can see them crossing plat, and you take very little risk in actually catching them as they cross plat, and you can get some pretty easy kills there. And another spot you can try playing, especially if I'm early for a B rush, I get the first 2 kills and I don't want to repeat a third time, this spot here. Now, it's not an easy kill, but you will see their heads and their shoulders strafing across towards Xbox if they're at the back wall, and you can get some kills here, and you're not too risky in your positioning. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.